Get your films on with the Blurs.
Once an idea has taken hold of the brain, it's almost impossible to eradicate.
Unpacking movies has never been more spot on, woke, fire, and just plain lit.
They are lit all the time.
So if you're unsure whether or not to plop down some cash for a film, check out the Blurs.
When a man with a 45 meets a man with a rifle, the man with a pistol is a dead man.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
You really only need to hang mean bastards. But mean bastards, you need to hang.
Don't say you weren't warned. Here's Brandon and Jeff.
Hello, and welcome to episode 59 of the Film Blurs. We're back to double penetrate your ear holes. My name is Brandon Norwood, aka Hero Protagonist, aka the true father of Joe's kids, aka Poppy Chulo, aka the Glizzy King, aka Mr. Krusty, aka the Lethal Protector, aka my biggest pet peeve is sports because I don't like seeing grown men sweat on each other, aka I want a Subaru Outback with mad strippers in the back giving shape-ups, aka Rough McGruff, aka These Nuts, aka B-Wood the Magnificent. And I'm joined here once again by...
Did this motherfucker just say double penetrate your ear holes?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, yo. All right. Yeah, I'm your co-host, Jeff Stewart, aka Uncle Jeffrey, aka J. Otis Dynamite, aka Revengeman Button, aka He Who Remains, aka Patty Ruxpin, aka Jobu Tupaki, aka this motherfucker, aka Black Giovanni Ribisi.
Yo, it's almost Halloween, man, and I gotta get before we get in the show, like I'm having trouble picking costumes and shit like that. So like I decided to do something real simple because I've been getting like, oh, save the date for this Halloween party. I was like, all right, I know what my Halloween costume's gonna be.
What is it?
I'm Ellen DeGeneres.
I don't get it. I don't what why is it Ellen DeGeneres?
Because that shit's funny, dog.
I mean, do it, yeah. Fucking do it, man. I'm going I don't know what I'm going as this year, but I think all black people should dress up like white people this year and do whiteface.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's why I said Ellen DeGeneres, because I'm not fucking a white lesbian.
Man, I thought you would. I mean, if you're gonna go deep, like go. Who's the pretty bitch of the month? Like who's goes? I mean, you can't really go as Kim Kardashian. Does that really work? But yeah, do Ellen DeGeneres. But are you gonna do the dance?
Oh yeah, you have to.
You're gonna enter the room doing the dance all the time?
Yeah.
All right. Actually, I would like to see that. I would like to see that. I think we should have some of our listeners write in to what white appropriation costumes they're going to go as this year. I hope to see a whole bunch of motherfuckers dressed up like Black Lord of the Rings.
All right. Well, let's get into it. First off, Toronto just ended, and the big award at Toronto is the People's Choice Award. And The Fabelmans took the People's Choice Awards. And I was like, oh, all right, well, looks like Spielberg's going to win Best Picture this year.
Yeah, I mean, Spielberg did a movie about Spielberg. So, yeah, it's going to win. I mean, was there even a question of that?
I mean, it's a strong award season so far. There's a movie that we saw that I was like, oh, this might be a front runner. But after seeing it, I was like, oh, no, it's not going to be a front runner at all.
I mean, the actress is going to be a front.
Yeah, but that's it. But yeah, and the cinematography,
acting is not getting Best Picture.
That's it. I would be surprised if it's nominated for anything else. So moving on from that, I'll let you take the lead on this. A whole expose on Ezra dropped yesterday. Yeah, man, it's bad. Yes.
So Vanity Fair dropped an article yesterday about the inner workings of Ezra Miller's kind of downfall. And I know we've been clowning him for the last couple of months on there, as well as, supporting their sort of trying to get help for themselves. But this article, just like I love Vanity Fair and I love Rolling Stones when they do these in-depth, real hard-hitting exposés. I had no idea. I only got through half the article before it was like, I gotta stop.
Yeah, man, it's bad. Like, it's bad. Like, I really don't know what they're gonna do with the Flash, because reading all that, I was just like, man, a lot of this is just straight unforgivable.
Right. I mean, because I just thought that they were grooming the one kid.
Oh no, I knew it was multiple kids.
I didn't know they were grooming multiple fucking individuals.
Yeah.
Like you can't even excuse the once, but like they came up with an excuse of like, all right, it's weird, but all right, we'll let it pass. But I didn't know it was multiple fucking incidents. It's like, oh, dude, that's serial at that point.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like, yeah. I told you. Why do you think I kept calling him fucking the Nexium dude? Because he had a whole compound of a sex cult. Like, I was not joking about that on previous episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I had no fucking clue. Yeah, I don't know what WB is going to do. I mean, good for Ezra for getting help and all that shit, but like, dog, you can't come back for this.
There's nothing I can say other than I highly suggest everybody listening, go read the article.
Right. We'll post the link on our Twitter and stuff like that, so you can read it for yourselves if you're following our Twitter, which you should be.
Yeah, it's bad. Like, that's all I can say is the shit's bad. Like, there's I don't know. I don't. It's a tough situation for Warner's, and I feel bad because nobody, no studio, no company deserves to go through this, man. Just because it doesn't just directly impact the people directly involved, it impacts the people who are just working there. You know what I'm saying?
It's a trickle down effect. Like, dog, even the janitors have jobs there. You know what I'm saying? Like, the company doesn't make money. Like, people on the low end get the shaft first.
You know, they're a mutual friend of mine that he worked for a couple of film sites, and both of them kind of tanked because the people running the sites were, diddlers and were diddling people. And because it happened to him twice, now it's just like guilt by association. And it's just like, well, that's not fair to him and all the other writers who had no clue that shit was going on.
Right. But
like, you cannot lump them in the same category. Like, and that's what sucks is like, if you, let's say I worked for the Weinstein Company, right? That sucks. All that shit comes out because now everybody's looking at me and I'm like, bro, I had no idea. I'm in marketing. Like, I don't even talk to that motherfucker. My job is just to promote whatever fucking movie we're putting out.
But like they always say, it's the company you keep. The company you keep, unfortunately, reflects on you. So if you hang around diddlers, then you're diddling by association. If you work for a company that is, doing some vile and evil shit, you may be just an accounts payable, but you work for that company. I'm sorry. Like, that's the way it is. I know you had nothing to do with it, but that stigma is attached to you.
And that it shouldn't be that way just because, nigga, I'm at the end of the day, most people are just trying to get in, get paid, and go the fuck home.
Right, 100%. But yeah. So as Ezra, read the article, read the Vanity Fair article, but it is much deeper than I realized. It is much deeper than even Brandon realized, and he knew a lot more than I did. Yeah, WB, that ship is fucking sinking fast. You know,
Yeah, and speaking of WB, they're hurting right now, and I just feel bad because I'm just like, damn, I'm at the point where like I'm so tired of Marvel that I want like other comic book shit that's not with Marvel to succeed. Like I'm rooting for DC. I'm rooting for Black Adam. I really hope Black Adam is good.
Because honestly, DC, for as many failures as they've had in the realm of comic book movies, when they do something interesting, it's really fucking interesting, right? The Batman, the Joker. I'll even give you Shazam. You know, like it's doing when it hits real hard. It hits right, and you know the Flash was gonna be the thing that kind of course corrected everything and put them on an upward trajectory.
Well, while I'm talking about DC and Warner Brothers is because it's now come out that Warner Brothers is in big financial straits, and this came out to last night. They've been talking to multiple people about taking over DC Films because David Zaslav swears he has a 10-year plan and he needs a Kevin Feige to enact his 10-year plan for these DC characters. And when he announced that, I was like, all right, listen, y'all said this before. And look, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt because at least it's better than just throwing darts at the wall, what the previous regime was doing, what Warner Media was doing, not Warner Brothers Discovery, but Warner Media, where they're just throwing darts at the wall. And now they cannot find a good candidate to run DC just because they have no money. Like AT&T has tanked Warner Brothers so bad that the debt it's insurmountable at this point. Right. Like it is rumored to be 50 billion plus. Jesus I don't know how Christ. Like AT&T, they are a multi-billion-dollar company that has been around ever since I was born. Well, before I was born. They're known for like telephones and power lines and all types of electronics for fucking almost 5-6 decades now. And you're trying to tell me they tanked a whole ass studio so badly that they're 50 billion in debt.
Well, because just because you know how to build a race car doesn't mean you know how to drive a race car. You know what I'm saying? Like, they saw the money. They was like, oh fuck it, yeah, let's get into the studio business. And we crushed Ma Bell.
I mean, the other problem is that a lot of people are apprehensive of taking the job just because of the track record with DC Comics and movies, and then also the Marvel comparison, because Marvel is what it is. Like it's a machine, and it's just going to. So they're saying everybody looking at this job is like, okay, well, if we have one of these that doesn't hit, we're just going to be compared to Marvel. And I'm just like, I mean, they got a point. I understand why nobody wants to take this job. Like, it seems like they're having so many people take this job. And the problem is, too, is like Kevin Feige has used all of his powers to bring everything Marvel together. So animation, TV, and movies is finally all under him after being fragmented, where it was he just only had control of the movies and that was it. And now he finally has control over everything. And Warner Brothers is doing the exact opposite. They're licensing out, animated films. If they pass on the show, they give the showrunners an option to go take it elsewhere, which is not good.
It's sort of what Marvel did in the 90s. They're
well, even up until about 5 years ago, because Luke Cage, Daredevil, Punisher, those were all Marvel TV, and Marvel TV was ran by the Marvel Creative Committee.
And so here's the the difference between Marvel and DC, and here's also why they can't find a Kevin Feige. When Kevin came on board, no one gave a fuck about Marvel, right? So that way he could do whatever the fuck he wanted. He had eyes on him, but they weren't. Marvel wasn't their bread and butter, so they were like, as long as we make a little money, fuck it, do what you need to do, right? DC, on the other hand, now, fast forward 15 years later, and you can't blink without seeing a comic book property, right? Now there's big money involved. Now there's high stakes. Now creatives aren't going to be allowed to create, and also the DC's Feige, for for lack of a better word, is going to be crippled by the fact that they know WB has no money, right? Well, they know they're going to have to skimp. And
let's get into this part of the article from the Hollywood Reporter, because I'm going to read. These next 2 paragraphs I'm about to read, or next 3, is strictly from the Hollywood Reporter article. The Marvel comparison looms large. While Feige has had the advantage of being what one industry source calls both the architect and the contractor of the Marvel Universe, the DC property has been through multiple iterations. Its fans are passionate, sometimes to the point of toxicity, and hardly unified. That's true. Real quick, before I read the rest of this. Marvel fans, for the most part, all stick together no matter what, and they love the shit no matter what. DC fans, it's been so fragmented between what people wanted from Snyder and then what people liked from maybe Aquaman and Shazam. Like, it's a mess. So one talent rep has said DC is so fragmented. J.J. Abrams had this one. Zack Snyder had that one. Todd Phillips had the other thing. And they're all such huge egos. All these issues pale next to the biggest question hovering over the job at Warner Brothers Discovery. How long will this gig last? The company is grappling with such a heavy debt load and skeptical investors. One former Zaslav executive recently received a letter from a due diligence firm on behalf of an unspecified client asking for his evaluation of Zaslav's leadership, strategic plans, and likelihood of success. That could suggest various possibilities: a potential acquirer digging around, a dissident shareholder sniffing for weakness, or a hedge fund trying to place a bet. That is so much uncertainty. This is what that one paragraph I just read is just so fucking wild on so many fucking levels.
Right. I'm not gonna wish this on anybody, and I'm not gonna prognosticate, but I would also not be surprised by at the end of maybe 2 or 3 years, if the ship is not righted, WB might be sold. I'm not WB. DC might be sold to Disney.
It's
or
been
Amazon.
rumored. Hold on, because I wasn't even going to talk about this today because I read this on Monday while we were in between movies. So I might as well bring this up now before I read this next paragraph. It is rumored that within the next 2 or 5 years, Discovery and Comcast are going to form one company. So that's 2 major studios that are just dead now: Universal and Warner Brothers.
Cool. That's not a monopoly at all, is it?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. I was like, how is that even fucking legal? Also, Comcast is not hurting for money. Like, they have hits. They made money.
But they can always make more money. It was a joke on 30 Rock when Cabletown bought GE, right? We were all joking about it, right? Because Cabletown is pretty much the amalgam of Comcast in that world, and now we're looking at it as like, oh yeah, Cabletown's about to buy everything. So
this next paragraph, it says, given the company's daunting challenges, it has become accepted wisdom at the highest levels of the industry that another deal waits in the wings for Warner Brothers Discovery. For reasons related to the complicated structure of that merger, no negotiations can happen until April 2024. But at that point, many industry observers believe that Comcast's Brian Roberts will make a long-awaited move to combine NBC Universal and Warner Brothers Discovery. Okay, so that paragraph just pretty much confirmed what I read the other day and what I just said.
Right.
That's fucked. That's so fucked. That is fucked. So basically, we're going to get to a point where everything is just going to be under one umbrella because I'm going to be real. Somebody's going to buy Netflix. Netflix has been $20 billion worth of debt. There's no way you recover from that shit. Just like, it's not only is it not sustainable, you can't recover, and they're not seeing profits. Like, they've lost subscribers.
Right.
So literally everything's going to be one big company. By the time by the time you're 50 and by the time I'm probably 45, it's going to be one big company.
Oh yeah, pretty much. It's scary. You know, I said the same thing years ago when Disney was buying up everything, right? That it was going to change the dynamic of the stuff that you're going to be watching, right? And we've already seen it. You know, drips and drabs here. But when you get these mega companies, you know, buying up other companies and like it doesn't feel like we're going to be getting any sort of originality.
Oh, no. Yo, you're going to be getting Red Notice times 10. Something that's just going to play to the most base level to please everybody, and it pleases no one just because at this point there's no risk taking.
Right. There's not going to be any interesting movies. You'll never see another Raging Bull.
Oh yeah, like listen,
you'll never see another Do the Right Thing.
Like all your favorite directors, go see their movies now because you ain't getting those movies anymore. It looks like by the time 2030 hits, I guarantee you, like. Our tourism is that's dead. That's out the window.
Right. So, I mean, support your local movie theater. Support your local indie filmmakers because that's where all the originality is going to go to.
Well,
you won't.
Before we move on, I wanna read a couple of more paragraphs of this because this. I'm telling you, if you guys get the chance, go to the Hollywood Reporter and read. I'll tweet it out. But this article is fucking wild. The deal would face some interesting antitrust issues, but given the company and the scale of it and a viable streaming service, it may happen. Obviously, Peacock sucks, says one executive with knowledge of both companies. There are some good synergies. I'm sure Roberts is licking his chops because the Warner Brothers Discovery stock is so low. That's sick. And I think that's Zavlov's endgame. Get the place sold. So let me pause before I read the rest of this. Discovery bought Warner Brothers from AT&T only to fucking sell it off.
That's some Logan Roy shit. Like, you want Succession, you want Succession, this is Succession. Yeah, this is some real fucking high stakes HBO drama type shit going on right here. That is a Logan Roy move.
Roberts and NBC Universal CEO Jeff Shell met with Zavlov and Warner Brothers board member John Malone during the Allen and Company gathering in Sun Valley, California last July. But given the rules against plotting any combination, that was no doubt just a friendly get-together with mild conversations. A Warner Brothers Discovery spokesperson has said, "We are building Warner Brothers Discovery for the long term." Many top executives are convinced that a deal will happen in the future. People feel like it's Comcast for sure, says the head of one rival movie studio. It's going to be so depressing to lose another studio after Disney bought Fox, and Warner's was the Tiffany of movie studios. Woo-wee!
Well, it was a good run while it lasted.
Yo, remember when we had so many different studios back in like the 2000s and the 90s? Like you had MGM and United Artists, and then you had Fox, and Fox had all its little companies, and then you had Warner Brothers, you had fucking New Line, which was a sister company. You had everybody had even Disney had like Touchstone and Spyglass and all these little subsidiaries, and Hollywood Pictures was owned by Disney.
But they were all doing their own fucking thing.
Yeah, Disney was like, yo, listen, you guys make movies for adults. We put out the children's and family friendly stuff.
Right. And so like I don't know what I was I don't know what I was recently watching. I think it was Confess Fletch, right? And the Miramax logo came up, and then right underneath it said a Comcast company.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, Miramax
Jesus.
used to mean something, you know, like no matter what fucking Weinstein did as a horrible Shrek-like ogre he was, but like being a Miramax film meant something, right? And to see like a Comcast company underneath it is like, oh, it's fucking hurt.
So my question is now, what happens to Paramount? Because I know Paramount is in worse shape than Warner Brothers or Comcast. Because Viacom is just bleeding money. They say they the only way they make money is running day-long marathons of ridiculousness or Teen Mom on MTV.
Right. Well, we all know MTV hasn't been music television since like 2003.
Right. Right. But I'm saying as a company, what's Viacom going to do? Like, I don't know. I don't see Paramount being its own studio for much longer either. Because they're just coasting off the success right now of Top Gun. And think about it. If Top Gun wasn't the hit it was, where would we be talking with Paramount right now?
Oh, it'd be done. It done so. I mean, it was a Top Gun, and luckily they've got enough Star Trek properties to keep it going, right? To keep it moving. And
they're resurrecting Transformers next year.
We're getting another Transformers.
Yeah, it's the Beast Wars one.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Well, you know. Yeah.
Look, okay. I'm saying, man, franchises can only keep you afloat for so long. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like DC is a bigger brand than either Star Trek or Transformers. And you're trying to tell me Warner Brothers is about to go under and these niggas is still out here? Nah, look, they may not be out and they might not be advertising it and saying it, but we know it's bad over there.
Yeah, it's bad everywhere. I mean, honestly, the streaming in general has been a blessing and a curse.
Oh yeah, because it just destroyed everything.
Right. And by the time anyone kind of realized that this was happening, like the meteor was already headed towards the planet. You know, we already hit the iceberg. Yeah,
here's the problem is like, yo, streaming's gonna collapse too, just because they keep raising the prices on all these services, and I'm just like, bro, eventually you guys are gonna outprice yourselves, and you're spending movie money on TV shows.
I'm glad you brought that up. Right? Let's talk about increasing fucking pricing. I have been the biggest champion. We have been the biggest champion of Hulu since the inception of this show. But Hulu, you're doing me fucking dirty. Yeah? Now I can't watch Saturday Night Live unless I buy the Hulu Live package.
Or, you know, that's not Hulu's fault. That is Universal. Universal wants more subscribers to Peacock. So Law and Order and SNL have been pulled from Hulu. So going forward, every new season will be a Peacock exclusive.
No, fuck that shit. I'm not paying for Peacock just for I love Bust Down, right? And I stick with SNL just because ever so often it's funny, but I'm not paying extra money for that shit.
And you gotta think SNL's in trouble too, just because just yesterday they announced they're coming back next week, and I'm like, what? Y'all coming back next week? You guys usually give people like 2-3 weeks ahead of time saying, hey, we're coming back this day. And yesterday they're like, oh yeah, we're coming back next week.
Well, you heard the news? Chris Redd left.
Everybody left, like Melissa Villasenor, and like 3 people left with her.
Chris Redd just left today.
That's what I'm saying. Like all their best people are gone. So the only other people who are on there who are funny are Colin Jost, Michael Che, and Keenan. And Bowen, and that's it. And Bowen is like a hair's away from
right.
Because as soon as Bowen's been on the show for 3 years, and when he first came on the show, I was like, oh, this nigga's a star. He's gonna be a star, and he has blown up so fast. I'm just like, woo! It's only a matter of time before he dips too. I mean, he stole the show in Bros, which we'll get into later.
Yeah, I mean, look, sometimes I really love Bowen Yang. And sometimes it's like, all right, it's too much.
Yeah, but, we talked about that before, and that's just gay people being extra.
Right. It's like black people being extra. Sometimes motherfuckers are extra. But there's no denying that he is the star. He's a breakout star of the last couple of years on SNL. Keenan's not going anywhere because he's got the record.
He said he's leaving after the 50th season because we're approaching season number 50 soon. And then Lorne said he's definitely out after season 50. When I'm like, what is SNL without Lorne? Because Lorne is SNL. Like he's the one who created it. He's the one who finds the talent. Like he handpicks the cast members himself.
Yeah. So like the 50th season might be the last season because I don't think anyone has the cojones to take on that beast. And as far as Michael Che and Colin Jost, like they're not going to jump ship just yet because they're the head writers.
And they're the Weekend Update anchors. And Weekend Update is literally the only thing that keeps me watching week to week because them niggas have me rolling during Weekend Update. Right.
I mean, honestly, I wish Weekend Update was just an hour.
Yeah. They did do that and people hated it. They did it a couple of summers ago, like right before the pandemic, and people were like, "Oh, it sucks."
Well, they got a couple of years to work on it. But
yeah, man. Like, I don't know, man. I everything literally. It's wild to watch the entertainment industry literally crumble around you just because people have invested so much time and money into the wrong things, and now it's backfired.
Yeah, it's like streaming killed traditional movie making, and now something bigger is killing streaming.
Yeah, it's called economy.
Right?
It's called the economy because you cannot make that much money off of streaming. Like you cannot, like, when I get into it with what have you watched lately, I watched the first 3 episodes of Andor. Everything's practical. This feels like a old school Star Wars shit. Like, it feels like Star Wars for adults, but watching it, I was just like, you guys cannot spend the money on this and sustain it and have this be sustainable.
Disney can.
Only for so long. Only for so long. Because again, Disney Plus is also raising its subscription prices.
Right. And here's the thing. The big selling point of all these fucking streamers, right? Were like, oh, you can cut the cord, right? You don't need cable. All you need is an internet package, blah, 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 blah. But now, because everyone's fucking greedy, you have to subscribe to so many fucking different streaming services that you might as well have just gotten cable. Right?
Yeah, because, I mean, and think about it this way. If your internet goes out, there's all your entertainment gone. At least with cable, you still have fucking cable.
Right. And, you know, it's. I feel like a crotchety old man talking about this shit, but yeah, I'm a crotchety old man. Fuck it all.
Also, I really wish Disney would start releasing some of the shit that they put right directly to Disney Plus on disc, just because I know nothing lasts forever. And trust me, now that I found out why Warner Brothers has been getting rid of shit, or Discovery has been getting rid of shit on HBO Max, I'm like, whoa, well, yeah, that makes sense. Because think about it. If 3 people are going to watch a show, the show's been canceled and off the air, but you're still paying rights for that show. You still got to pay out residuals and all that shit. Yeah, you're better cutting your losses by just pulling it and taking a tax write down. So think about in like 10 years, Jeff, where people have stopped altogether watching Andor on Disney Plus. That becomes fucking expensive.
Yeah. And I get the reasoning. I do. I understand it from a business point of view. But as a creative, it fucking sucks. It's like how we'll never see certain versions of movies ever again, you know, because they shelved the negatives the wrong way. They were destroyed, and they didn't give a fuck. Right, and so that's my fear for these movies that are getting pulled and are not on physical media, because fuck, the wrong hacker gets it one day. The wrong fucking computer virus hits, and it's a done deal. It's over with. It's gone forever. Yeah.
The entertainment industry as a whole fucked up by relying too much on streaming. That's where we're getting at. Because again, you cannot ask people to pay what $7.99 a month and then spend like $1 billion on a Marvel show, because like there's no profit in that.
Right. I mean, merch will only get you so far.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right, and with that, Jeff, what have you watched lately?
What are you watching?
So what have I been watching lately? It feels like I've been watching too much and not enough at the same time. Let's start with something I was going to bring up a couple of weeks ago. It's a show on FX Plus or whatever like that, Hulu, called Little Demon. It says it's from the creators of Rick and Morty, yada 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 yada.
Yeah, I've watched it so far. I've been keeping up with it.
Yeah. I am not sure if I like it or not.
Yeah, I'm in that camp too. I'm like watching it just to watch it now.
Right. It has some really interesting aspects to it. The story is Satan impregnated this witch. She went on the run. She had a baby, and 15 years later, she's on the run with this baby, and she's some badass warlock bitch, warding off demons and shit like that. And then the devil finally tracks him down, and it's the daughter coming to terms with the fact that she's the Antichrist and trying to build a relationship with her father, which is the devil. Some of the jokes are really, really good. Some of them hit really, really hard, but those are few and far between for me. It's not as intelligent as Rick and Morty. It's not as fun as Solar Opposites, right?
And Solar Opposites is really my speed, where it finds the middle ground between being crass and actually heartwarming.
Right. I actually really fuck with Solar Opposites, but this and Aubrey Plaza is the voice of the mom, and she's also an executive producer on there. Lucy DeVito is the voice of the daughter. Danny DeVito is the voice of Satan, and I don't know when Lucy DeVito became a big thing. Right?
I don't know either, but like I know she is Danny DeVito's daughter.
Right, right. But I'm just saying, like, she's popping up in a lot of things, and then, I mean, although I don't think she's bad, it feels like they're trying to make her a thing.
I don't. It doesn't feel like that to me. It just feels like she's trying to get her footing within the industry, which fine. She ain't. It's not like she's popping up all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. But she was like, she's honestly, she's top billed. If you go to IMDb, she's one of the top billed in fucking Blonde.
Yeah, well, that's IMDb. That's why I don't use IMDb. That shit is not fuck. It's like using Wikipedia for movies.
Right, right. Well, I mean, it's the only thing we got, though. It's the only thing we got. So Little Demon, it's all right. What are we? 5 episodes in now?
I think 5 or 6 drops tomorrow. It feels like a show doing shit for shock value, to be honest with you.
Right, right. I hated the pee pee poo poo episode because that shit's not funny to me. Like the possession episode where she's possessing the whole entire town and like she's just making everyone's go pee pee poo poo. Like,
which, if you're a teenage girl, you're not doing that shit. No teenage don't matter who the fuck you are. No teenage girl is gonna find that fucking shit funny.
Right, right. Look, it is what it is. It's another animated show that is geared for adults. But like we said, I can't tell if I like it or not. I don't hate it, but I'm not sure if I like it. I think I'm so far into it now that I'll finish out the season.
And then just jump ship, because that's what I'm going to do.
And then just jump ship, because I've already invested this much time into it. I might as well see where it goes. But unless it's like a radical reinvention next year or at the end of the season, something that will bring me back, it's like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. So after that, I got to talk about Strange New Worlds. Okay, so I finally finished it out. I really fuck with this show. Like, it really is one of the best, for me, one of the best Star Trek shows since DS9. You know, it's got everything about Star Trek that, you know, the original series had. It has the exploration, it has the wonder, it has the there are some really dark moments, but it really tries to explore the human condition through the lens of these space explorers going and meeting, you know, these different cultures and everything like that. So that's all I got to say about it. I fuck with it. I can't wait for season 2 to see what they do now that the groundwork is laid. Yeah, that's it. Going from that, I decided to, for some reason, HBO Max said I should go back and revisit some really fucking dumb early 2000 movies, and they do not hold up at all. The first one is The Incredible Burt Wonderstone, which is pretty much Steve Carell as a magician in Vegas. It is.
Why does that sound familiar?
It's got Jim Carrey in it. It's got Steve Buscemi in it.
Oh. Go ahead, keep going. I'm going to
Yeah.
Google this because it sounds familiar.
Yeah, I mean, it's not funny enough. It's not hardcore enough to be, you know, in the vein of the Will Ferrell camp, you know, where it's weird and snarky and kind of dirty. This is honestly sort of a kid's. It's Will Ferrell for kids, starring Steve Carell. It's not very funny. It's not very inventive. It's not weird enough. It's just there.
Okay,
You
so
know,
I
it's
Googled
par-
it, and I do remember this.
Yeah, do you? Yeah, it's
I've never seen it, so
yeah. I mean, it's on HBO Max. It's like if you like this, you'll like that. It's like, look, I don't feel like actually watching anything. You know what I'm talking about? Like sometimes you don't want to watch anything. You just
I
want.
mean
Something
that's how I ended up watching Fatale.
Right, right. So like, I just wanted something on, and so I put this on. It's like, oh yeah, this is fucking bad. This is real fucking bad. So on that same vein, I went to up next was Hot Tub Time Machine.
Oh man,
because
I remember what's that?
It was sort of like a linking combo in a fighting game. It's like, all right, if I do a Burt Wonderstone, it'll connect to Hot Tub Time Machine, and from that I'll go to Balls Out.
That's one of the few times I've been really disappointed by a comedy. I remember thinking, "Oh man, this movie's gonna be hilarious," and then you go and sit down, and you're just like, "This fucking sucks."
You know what is a better Hot Tub Time Machine? The skiing episode of It's Always Funny in Philadelphia. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. When they go skiing, that's a better episode.
That episode.
That's a great episode. But that is better than Hot Tub Time Machine. It's dirty for dirty's sake.
Yeah.
But it's not inventive, right? It's not like anything that the Farley brothers did. Like the Farley brothers, when they did Gross, it was interesting and it was fun. It was funny. This is literally just dick and fart jokes written by people who didn't realize why dick and fart jokes are funny.
You know, Jessica Parre's in this, and I remember it was a big thing that she was topless in the movie, and you go see it, and even I was just like, why though? Why? It's just, you guys just wanted nudity in this? Like, is that it?
It's the reason. It turns it from a PG-13 movie to an R-rated movie. Tits.
And Jessica Parre, I was like, yo, you've done work, and you have been in Mad Men after that movie. Like, you should not have debased yourself for that fucking movie.
Yeah. It's bad. It's bad, and they made a sequel too.
Yeah, it was worse. It was somehow worse.
Right. It was worse. John Cusack somehow. This is like John Cusack in the last couple of years will just do anything, right? But he was like, nah, I'm not gonna do Hot Tub Time Machine 2. That'll tell you how bad that movie is, that they couldn't even get John Cusack back for this shit.
Yeah, that movie sucked.
Yeah, no, it was really bad. But I'd seen Burt Wonderstone before, and I had seen Hot Tub Time Machine before, but it was so long ago. It was like, let me go back and see if I find this shit funny now. Right? Maybe the jokes were going over my head, because I'll be the first to admit, when Will Ferrell came on the scene, I did not like Will Ferrell movies, and then I got older, and it was like, I fucking get it. Right?
I like a lot of his movies, but like the movie that like really put him on, Anchorman, I still don't find that shit funny. Like, I watched that again recently. I'm like, yo, this shit is just not funny.
It's funny to me now, but I hated it when it first came out. So I figured I'd give all these other movies the same kind of chance. And on this whole entire shitty 2000 comedy thing, for the first time, I watched the movie Balls Out, the story of Coach Gary. That's
Go ahead, continue.
Movie. I don't know why they tried to make Stifler a thing, like a star.
Oh, right? Sean William Scott,
right? I don't know how that happened. I don't know why that happened. But this was one of those movies where it's about just a fucked up dude who's got some fucking trauma. Like, his trauma is fucking his dad was a tennis pro, blah blah blah, and for some reason Stifler, because I'm not going to call him by his Jesus name. I don't give a fuck. Ends up coaching a high school tennis team and takes them to the nationals. It was supposed to be a gross out comedy, another sex comedy. It was boring. It was not. I did not laugh once through this whole entire fucking movie. It felt like pulling goddamn teeth, right? It is written by the same guys who did The Goods, starring Jeremy Piven. And you can see why they never worked again. Ever, 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 ever. They wrote 2 movies, Balls Out and The Goods. And I guess Hollywood was like, yeah, you know what? Fuck them. This is too bad for even us. Moving on from that, these new let's watch a lot of bad movies. Rob Zombie's The Munsters. No one can ever argue that Rob Zombie is a good director, right? Like, he's got some good ideas. His visual styling is amazing. But as a director, as a filmmaker, he's not good.
I mean, he has one movie I like, and it's a movie everybody else likes. Like, he only has one movie that everybody's like, oh yeah, that was a good one. And then everything else is just like either meh or ugh.
Right. The Devil's Rejects is still not a good movie, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's the one everybody likes. Like, you talk to film fans, they're like, oh, yeah, I like the Devil's Rejects, but anything else by Rob Zombie, you're just like, mm-mm.
Yeah. So The Munsters seems like a glorified fan film made by someone who was never really a fan of the original property. It is lifeless. It looks fucking cheap. It looks cheaper, honestly, than the original show. It's not campy. It's corny. The acting is what it is, you know, like it's sufficient. I've never thought Sherry Moon Fry was a good actress at all to begin with, but because of the style of what The Munsters was trying to do, it actually fits. Her wooden kind of stunted acting fits here. It takes literally an hour and 20 minutes for us to get any kind of narrative movement. And by then, I just don't fucking care. Right? Because the movie's only an hour and 40 minutes. So you don't actually get into the action or any drama or stakes until the movie's almost over.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's up? And this is my problem. What's up with movies nowadays that are like an hour 45, hour 50 being 10 or 20 minutes too long? Like, it's okay to be an hour and a half.
Right. It's like, is it a money thing? Is it like we have to make it to an hour and 40 minutes so we can fit into some sort of bracket to get
I don't know, man.
Money bonus?
I don't know. Look, Prey was a nice 90 minutes, and everybody loves that movie. Like, it's okay for you to be 90 minutes.
Right? I mean, yeah, especially for this. It's a comedy. It shouldn't be almost 2 hours. And it's not. It would be one thing if it was 2 hours of hilarity, right? I always go back to the Brady Bunch movie, right?
No, that shit is hilarious.
That shit is fucking hilarious, right?
Yes, it is.
That is how you do. This is what I expected from The Munsters, right? Some sort of updated remake, maybe like just a little bit of snark, a little bit of sass, still holding on to the principles of the original show, but with some excitement in it, something that makes it different than the original show. after watching the Monsters movie, I was like, I might as well just go watch the old TV show, because at least that was charming. That was campy. That was funny. This just seemed like honestly, a bet that someone lost.
I'm gonna tell you this. Me and my brother watched the trailer, and we couldn't believe just how cheap it looked.
It's
right?
so fucking cheap.
Right? We went back and watched an episode of the TV show. TV show also looks cheap, but it has better production value because they cared and they knew what they were doing.
Right. And you would think that Rob Zombie, of all people, would have thrived with this material.
Yes.
Would have done something interesting with it. You know, like he's built his whole time. For God's sakes, his name is fucking Rob Zombie. Right? Seems like something that he would be able to knock out of the park. This was the movie. This should have been the movie that solidified him as like, okay, maybe we need to give Rob Zombie another chance. Maybe he is a good director or a good writer.
I fuck with Dragula. You know, sometimes you out and you hear that song in a bar, you just with the witches and burn through the ditches and in the back of my Dragula.
I've always been partial to More Human Than Human.
The song remember the early 2000s? That song was in every trailer. Every
fucking trailer.
More human than human.
Actually, I wrote a reboot of The $6 Million Man, just for shits and giggles, years and years ago, and I wrote in, all right, when Steve Austin's character jumps out of the plane, you gotta play More Human Than Human when he's skydiving and the plane's on fire behind him. You got to.
No, that song's banned from media now, just like Marilyn Manson's "Sweet Dreams." That's been banned too.
That "Sweet Dreams" is banned?
After they played out "More Human Than Human," that was the other one they played out. That was like every trailer.
What's that other Marilyn Manson song that's about to be on the way out because they use it in fucking everything? It was in they use it all the time in John Wick.
Oh, Killing Strangers.
Killing Strangers. Yeah, that's about to be on the way out too, baby.
I was like, and you know what? I was like, John Wick owns that song, bro. Like, and everybody else kept using it. I'm just like, why? John Wick owns it.
Yeah. No.
That's like you trying to use Ms. or Lou. I'm like, nah, man. Pulp Fiction owns that. Like, you can't use Ms. or Lou.
So that's Rob Zombie's The Monsters. Don't watch it. Do me a favor. Don't do that to yourself, because you deserve better. Moving on from that, we're gonna go to, I watched Confess Fletch, which is the newest Fletch movie. Chevy Chase did the original two back in the 80s, and everybody and their mother has been trying to reboot the series for the last 10 or 15 years.
And it came close, real close, with Jason Lee as Fletch and Kevin Smith directing.
Yeah.
Which honestly, probably, that's the one thing Kevin Smith excels at, which is dialogue and comedy. So
right. White people seem to really love Fletch. I never really enjoyed the first two, but whatever. I watched this, and I actually really enjoyed this. But your mileage may vary, just because this is an hour and a half, an hour 40 minutes of John Hamm being charming and funny. Right? The central mystery, there are really no stakes there. It's not all that difficult for him to solve. It is just pretty much charm and wit. I'm here for it. But
so you're telling me to never read the books?
What was that?
I said, so you're telling me to never read the books?
I mean, there's 11 of these books, and people seem to fucking really love them. I guess it's we've gotten so many great mystery movies over the last couple of years that watching this, and it's supposed to be, a murder mystery, it just seems
Redundant?
Not even redundant. It just seems lazy in comparison, right? But also, I enjoyed it just because fucking John Hamm and the crazy characters that he interacts with, and the vistas of Italy and whatnot. It's a nice Sunday afternoon movie, right? Like, you got a hangover from Saturday, you don't want to leave the house, you don't want to do anything, but you want to take your mind off how much excruciating pain you're in. Confess Fletch. There we go. We're going to wrap up with the last episode of Rape and Dragons, which had...
Oh, they do it in they do that in this prequel show.
Oh, yeah, there's dragons, and there's not as much rape as in the first.
But there's still
rape. I mean, rape and dragons.
Glad I'm sitting this one out, man.
Yeah, this show, it exists. I think it could have been interesting, but it really is just palace intrigue. The show. Yeah. I mean, it's this show is literally setting up for the second season, and that's all it's doing. Any violence or like any of the shock value or violence that was in the original Game of Thrones series, they try to put in here, but it just rings hollow because they're moving so forward fast in the timeline that you don't actually get to know or care for any of these characters, right? Because this new episode, like this one that's coming up this weekend, you're jumping forward like fucking 15 years.
But they're about to fall in the same trap that Westworld did this previous season, where you have great story that you probably should have spread out a little bit, so that way you didn't run out of story to tell.
Right. And so the acting is okay. It's great. It's sword and sandals. The acting's good.
How's my girl Olivia Cook?
She's great. Looking good. Killing it. I'm bored. I'm literally just watching this just to say ha ha at the end. None of the spark, none of the excitement, none of the wonder that was in the original series first season is here. And it may not be the show's fault because we're already accustomed to this world, right? We first were introduced to Game of Thrones. If you hadn't read the books, this was totally new to you. Like, this is old hat to me. I don't care about the Targaryens because I know what happens.
Didn't I say in the lead up to this show premiering that doing a prequel was a bad idea and that I wasn't going to watch it on principle? Yeah, Seems like I was right.
Yeah, no, you were right. And I totally agreed with you, but I had to give it a chance. And I've given it a chance.
Why? Because everybody wasted 10 years of their life watching the old one. Only for it to be in the last 4 or 5 episodes, you just destroy all goodwill. Even see, like, people shit on season 7, and I still rock with season 7. Season 7's still a banger.
What happened to season 7? I can't remember.
Season 7, that was the one where they go beyond the wall, and Drogon gets killed.
Yeah,
in the Battle of the Bastards, I think. No, that was season 6.
Yeah, I mean, but season 7 was a good season. Like, all of the seasons were good up until the last season. Right?
I'll give you the first 2 or 3 episodes of season 8 were pretty good, and then after that, you're just like, ooh.
Right. So yeah, House of Rape and Dragons. It's a thing. If you like it, I'm not gonna like try to argue with you why it's a bad show, right? Or why it's not fun, or why it's not interesting. I'm not gonna try to do that. If you like the show, good for you. Hold your babies close. Hold it warm to your teat and let it suckle. But it's not for me. But I'm gonna finish it just because I'm a completist. And the last.
Are you gonna watch season 2?
Unless season 1 ends on some fucking ridiculously good high note, nah, I'm good. I'm fine with that. Yeah. And just to close things out, watch She-Hulk. This show gets better and better every episode. I take back all of the shit I said about being disappointed from that first episode and not thinking that this show is going to succeed. Thank you for proving me wrong, She-Hulk, because I am enjoying every episode more and more. So if you haven't watched She-Hulk, get on that. It's actually funny now. It's actually kind of hilarious, and it's a nice palate cleanser from all the shit that we've been getting.
I mean, the last episode 5, is definitely the best episode so far. That shit was actually funny.
Yeah,
with the whole her going to court over the trademark.
Right. Yeah. No, that was really fucking good, and it did it on its own. Right. There's no surprise cameos or anything like that, except for like the last reveal, the last shot. But on that. It stood on its own 2 feet with no outside Marvel Universe characters, which I appreciated. Also, you'll probably talk about this. I watched the first episode of Andor, and I
watched all 3, so I'll dig deep into it.
Right, but
I ain't gonna spoil it because there's a lot to talk about without spoiling the shit. But like, I'll wait.
I mean, like I'll throw it over to you. And I'll just bounce off of you for Andor. But, Brandon, what have you been watching?
All right. Well, let's start with movies. And I want to start with a movie I forgot to cover in the previous episode, which is because it was leaving last month. HBO Max suggested, you like Final Destination. You've watched all the Final Destinations, but you haven't watched 5. And I was like, yeah, I haven't watched 5. Let me watch 5. What the fuck? How's this the best one?
I know I've never seen 5 either, and I like you told me to watch it right before it left, and I didn't get a chance. I'll find it out somewhere else. But yeah, because I tapped out of Final Destination after the second one. The second one was okay, and it was like I don't.
Yeah, see. I love this series. Like, this is one of the best horror series ever, just because it's like you can do new things with it with different casts. Like, Final Destination 5 understands what I want from this, which is do this shit clever, have a little story to carry it through, and then just do something big at the end. Before we get deep into 5, let's talk about the series as a whole. 1, undisputed best one is undisputed a good movie. Like, it was new, it was clever, it was great. 2 was decent. You know what I mean? I don't hate it, I don't love it.
Is 2 the one with the traffic jam?
Yeah, with the logs.
Okay. With the logs, okay.
And that was 3 was with Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and that's the one with the roller coaster.
I think I did see that, but it was utterly forgettable.
That one I liked better than 2. 4 was the first one in 3D, and it was because every horror franchise does this too, where they come up to one where they're like, "Oh man, we're starting to lose money on these, so this is the final." So it was called The Final Destination. That was the fourth one, and that was in 3D. That one had the opening with the race car track. That is definitely the worst out of the series, but there's still things in the fourth one that I was just like, okay, that was good. 5. I'm gonna ruin 5, okay? So, and look, you go back and you watch it, and you can see the pieces. Like, I could see this movie has a reveal, and I saw the reveal coming just because they kept talking about what the main character wanted to go. Like, he has a job offer in Paris, and he's just like, yeah, we need to move to Paris. And I was just like, oh, okay. All right, I see what y'all are doing here.
Oh, wait.
Hold on.
I haven't even seen it, but I can already tell. You go ahead.
Yep, you could piece it together. Yeah.
I can already tell. I already know. Yeah.
The kills are gnarly in this one, and this one I didn't know also got a 3D release, and now I'm kicking myself for not being able to see this one in 3D. Like, listen, I hope there's a Final Destination 6, and I hope it's in 3D, because like this series in 3D, that's what it's made for. Come on, man. To watch people get fucking mauled and gnarled to death just because death is this omnipresent entity that just moves around. And guess who else returns for this one?
Tony Todd?
Yep, as the mortician.
Yes.
And he's warning these kids. He's like, I'm begging you, please, watch what you're doing, watch where you're going. You cannot escape death, because, 1 and 2, they kind of made it like he was death.
Right.
And 5 makes it clear he's just a mortician who knows the rules. Look, the characters are played by bad actors. They're terribly written, but the reveal you could see a mile away. Like, I called that, but it's just clever. And I was entertained. Like, this is the most entertaining Final Destination. And then go ahead.
No, I mean, like, I'm kind of pissed off I didn't see it.
I'm pissed off I didn't get to see it in 3D. There's a gymnastics death in this that is just wild. Wait till you see the gymnastics thing. I was just like, that's insane.
All right, this is why I love having Apple TV, because it'll search all of my fucking services for it, so I don't have to keep going through each and every fucking one. So hopefully it's on one streaming service.
You want to know what the cherry on top was for this?
Go ahead.
During the end credits, it starts with AC/DC's "If You Want Blood," with a montage of all the kills from the previous 4 movies.
Oh shit! All right. So they really did try to make this the final one.
Yeah. But listen, I don't want this to be the final one. This is a franchise that needs to continue on.
So here's what Netflix needs to do. Netflix needs to turn this into a series.
No, because if it's on Netflix,
all right. One of the better streaming services. Amazon could take
HBO
this.
in here. Let's get HBO. Like, give me one more movie and then a TV show, because I want to see one of these in theaters in 3D.
Yeah, but I can imagine a TV show killing it.
Yeah.
No
so, moving on from that, I decided to watch Fantasia again. Fantasia is one of my mom's favorite movies, and I was like, I haven't seen this in a while, and I need to start getting some mileage out of Disney Plus. Yeah, man. I mean, I wish, Disney used to make art, man.
And we're gonna talk about this in the review, one of the main reviews, but Disney doesn't seem whimsical anymore. It doesn't seem special anymore. But Fantasia and all these other classics, they felt like you said, like art.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like, I honestly, it's been a minute, so I got to revisit Sleeping Beauty because I remember rewatching the Snow White, which is the first animated film ever. And there's just parts of Snow White where I'm just like, damn, man, they cared.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen Fantasia in forever, but like I remember it just being mesmerized by it.
Yeah. It like, yo, listen, it is just loose stories, and if it's not loose stories, it's the orchestra. Like, it's just classical music and just little shorts. It works. And even just the orchestra, the way I didn't notice James Ho Wow or Wong was the DP on Fantasia. That's why when it's just the orchestra, I'm like, damn, even the orchestra is just beautiful to look at.
Didn't they do a re-release a couple of years ago in theaters?
No, I'm gonna get into what you're thinking of.
Okay.
Because I wanted to do this and I missed out on it. So after watching Fantasia, I watched the sequel, Fantasia 2000, which came out in 1999, and it got a limited release in IMAX for like 3 months before because it came out in December 99 in IMAX, and it had like a 4-month run in IMAX, and then in March or April it went wide. And this one is significantly shorter than the first Fantasia, but still great. Fantasia 2000, it's good.
So, wow, there was a time where a movie could have played in a theater for 4 months. Wow.
Yeah, man. I remember going to IMAX, man. Like when it was still special. I mean, IMAX still is special, but I'm talking about like real special, where
you had to travel.
Inception played for like 4 months on end. The Matrix played for like 4 months.
Yeah,
it's when they're still doing IMAX film prints, where it took like 10 dudes to lift it onto the platter.
Like, what is the turnaround time now between movies in the theaters for maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month?
For what?
For like just anything, like in general, just
depends on the movie. It depends how it performs, man. If you're The Invitation, you get 2 weeks. If you're Top Gun, you get 5 months.
I was gonna watch The Invitation, but then I decided that I wasn't that bored.
That's one I'm gonna wait till it hits Netflix. I didn't see that on principle, just because that's disrespectful to Karen Kushamara's The Invitation. Like, they already had their own title and everything, and then at the last minute they're like, "Oh, let's change it to The Invitation." I was like, all right, well, I'm traveling, I'm going to shows, like I got other stuff to do anyway.
I think it's already on demand anyway, so. Yeah.
So moving on from that, I saw for the first time The Hunt for Red October.
Yo, I just rewatched that a couple of weeks ago.
This is the best Jack Ryan film, and Alec Baldwin is the best Jack Ryan. No offense to Harrison Ford. Sorry, bro, but like Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger, good movies, but they bore me to tears.
Yeah, go on. We can get into that.
The Hunt for Red October, it starts and then it just every 15 minutes just escalates, and you're just like, what? How can this escalate even more? And somehow it does. Like, it just keeps building and building up until like the last 30 minutes.
So The Hunt for Red October is actually my first submarine movie, right? And it's the movie that made me love the submarine genre, right? Because it's instant tension, right? Like, no matter, like you said it, there's instant tension. It is up to you to fuck up that movie, right? Even the worst submarine movie, still a submarine movie.
You fuck with U-571?
I mean, isn't that the one with the fucking John Bon Jovi?
Yeah, I think McConaughey's the lead. I know that much.
Yeah, I think I fuck with that too.
It's been a minute since I've seen that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a minute.
Never
Crimson
seen
Tide.
Das Boot.
I've tried to get through Das Boot. It's long.
Yeah, I know it's like 4 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, it's long. Crimson Tide though. To
Oh,
Crimson Tide.
Yeah, I never
Crimson
seen
Tide.
that one.
Oh, you gotta see Crimson Tide, man.
Isn't that Denzel and Gene Hackman?
Denzel, Gene Hackman, directed by Tony Scott.
Yeah, aren't they barking at each other the whole movie?
Yeah, man. It's fucking cat and mouse in a submarine. Imagine these two fucking big personalities yelling at each other for 2 hours in a submarine with guns and nuclear missiles. It's amazing.
All right.
So go on, but like
But yeah, Hunt for Red October, man. Like, yo, this cast was stacked too. And I looked up, I was like, man, all these people, they using real submarines and miniatures for all this. I was like, let me look up the budget. And I looked up the budget in 1990 dollars, it was 30 million. And I was like, you know what? Let me do the inflation. By inflation, it was $50 million. I was like, how'd they make this movie for $50 million? That's insane.
because they knew how to do it back then. They cared back then. Let's talk about how Sean Connery didn't even fucking try to do an accent, right?
Oh yeah, he just used his regular Scottish accent.
Right.
It was supposed to be Russian, and nobody cared.
Everybody else was trying to do a fucking Russian accent, right?
Even
fucking,
Sam Neill.
Even Sam Neill, and fucking Sean Connery's just like, load the torpedo bays.
Also, damn if Stellan Skarsgård don't play an asshole and everything, except for when he's in a Marvel movie. Yeah. Otherwise, he's an asshole.
Yeah, I mean his ratio to asshole to hero is skewed in asshole. Yeah, and I'm sure he's a great guy. Like, he seems like a really genuine, awesome dude. But like,
I'm sorry, I'm laughing just because, Stellan Skarsgård is just like one of the angriest looking dudes and managed to produce like some of the most beautiful people on earth.
Well, wait. One is just fucking angel, fucking pirate baby. The other one, he's handsome but in a creepy way.
I mean, he could be both. He could either
like Bill Skarsgård. He's a handsome man, but also, if you told me that he had bodies in the basement, I was like, yeah, that tracks.
And then Gustav, I'm like, poor Gustav. The only thing I've seen him in is Westworld.
Wait, I forgot about Gustav.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody forgets about Gustav.
It's like the Hemsworth in Westworld too. You're like, oh yeah, it's this one.
It's hard being the baby brother of pretty people.
Oh no, they're both the oldest brother.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh. Sometimes the leftovers are the leftovers.
Hey man, at least they can act. I'll say that much. At least they got the acting talent.
Yeah. They are. I mean, you got to be able to act, like, coming from that family.
You'd be excommunicated if you weren't.
It's like, you don't have to be pretty, but you got to act, motherfucker.
You go. Can you imagine Stellan going to see Gustav in like Macbeth, and then he just tanks it, and then after the show, he walks up to him, hands him like a letter. He's like, "You are excommunicado from the source code."
I will give you 24 hours to remove all of your items from the family manor, and we are going to burn all photos with you in them. I wish I could say I would miss you, but I won't.
Imagine if that happened with Luke too. Luke Hemsworth, like Papa Hemsworth comes up to him. He's like, "All right, I'm trying to do an Australian accent here. All right, you can redeem yourself by fighting a baby dingo. We've been training this baby dingo to box." If you win, we'll keep you in the family. If not, you're excommunicado.
That's it's funny. That is actually family court in Australia. You have to
you have to fight a
kangaroo. Kangaroo. That's how
jacked up kangaroo.
Right. That's how
you see them pumping the kangaroo with steroids before the fight.
Fucking steroids and crystal meth. That's how that's the entire legal system of Australia is just fucking you
boxing kangaroos,
boxing, roided up, methed out kangaroos.
Oh man!
But they have less mass shootings than us. So
yeah, but have you ever seen Snowtown? That's based on a true story.
No, what's Snowtown?
Oh, okay. I want you to go and watch Snowtown, and then report in next week.
All right, let's see. I'm searching Snowtown right now.
Yeah, while you search that, I will talk about this next movie called because everybody decided to drop their movies in the theaters on one weekend for some reason. I went to see last Thursday, See How They Run. See How They Run is a murder mystery comedy. It's basically trying to be Knives Out. It stars Sam Rockwell and Saoirse Ronan, and the cast is stacked. Look, it's slight. Like, it's good, but it's slight. You know what I mean?
It's a Sunday morning. It's a Sunday afternoon movie.
Yeah, I ain't hate it. I ain't love it. Like, Adrian Brody's in it. Ruth Wilson's in it. Harrison Dickinson's in it. David Oyelowo's in it. Like I said, the cast is stacked. Look, shout out to, I've never heard of this director, and this is his first movie, Tom George. Dude's shooting this like a Wes Anderson movie. So like the shots are composed like a Wes Anderson movie.
Which, I mean, you could do worse than to ape Wes Anderson.
Right. And like I was entertained the whole time, but you could clearly see where it's going. Did I figure out the mystery? No, but when it's revealed, I was just like, oh, okay. All right.
Right. The same thing with Confess Fletch. It's like, okay, cool. It wasn't about solving the mystery. It was about getting to the point where the mystery is solved.
I mean, not for nothing. Some of this is very funny though. It has that dry British humor though.
All right. So Tom George, a lot of British TV. A lot of British TV.
All right. Well, yeah. This will be on HBO Max probably by December. Like, you know, if it was a little better, I could probably see it being an awards contender. But, you know, as it is, it's just a slight, funny murder mystery.
Which is, you know, not bad. I mean, it's okay.
And this is a murder. Honestly, this is more appropriate to watch with your grandma than Death on the Nile is.
Not a grandma film. No, it's not a grandma.
No, listen,
film.
Death on the Nile starts off real spicy.
Yeah, but then they take down the spice after that. After they fuck on the dance floor, it's pretty tame after that.
All right, and you know, I'm gonna move into TV. The Patient is still going strong. I'm glad this is a mini series. Something big happened in this week's episode where I'm just like, oh boy, ooh, that's rough. That's real rough.
I can't wait.
You're starting to get in the psychosis of Domhnall Gleeson's character too, and again, rough. What was that?
I can't wait to jump into the show.
Oh yeah, it's great. Do not binge it.
No, it's not a binger.
Oh no, this is a one a week.
Okay, well,
it's like Under the Banner of Heaven. You watch one a week.
I'll start it.
Primal finished up its second season, and I don't know if it's getting a third season. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't, just because if they get a third season, the show is going to be completely different with the way the second season ended. And I just want to say, if this is it for Primal, this is Gendy's best show.
All right. Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah, it's better than Samurai Jack. It's better than Powerpuff Girls. It's better than his Clone Wars. Like, yo, this is show. Hats off to Gandhi, because this show's amazing.
All right, but another one for the list. That's ever growing list of shit I gotta watch.
Harley Quinn ended its third season, and you know what? As I put the whole season as a whole into focus, bravo. Y'all played the long game. I see what you're doing now as a whole.
So, like, the end of this season reframes the first couple of episodes. It makes it better.
Yes. For the story they're trying to tell and what they did with the characters and every character on this show, it makes sense and it's paid off.
Okay,
So I'm very it already got renewed for a season 4, different showrunner. I'm very interested to see how this show is going to go moving forward. Because there's one part that does end on a cliffhanger where you're just like, oh, nothing good's going to come of that.
All right. I mean, this is definitely a binger because, like, the episodes are only a half hour, right?
Yeah, like 28 minutes.
Yeah, so I mean, I can get that done in a day.
Rap Shit wrapped up its first season, and yeah, man, I really like this show.
Like, I get what they were doing with Rap Shit, and we've talked about it before. I just didn't like the style.
No, I see the style fits the show, and it look, Instagram and TikTok are what currently runs the world, so it makes sense that a whole show would be narratively based in social media, and it works.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And what I did see, I could see the potential. I could see that it was a good show. It just, like, I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready for that style. I wasn't ready to have that sort of mind frame to watch it the way it should be watched. So, I mean, if you say it's great, it's great. I didn't dislike it. I just disliked the style, but I got it. Like, that's how you tell that story.
Yeah, also ends on a pretty big cliffhanger where you're just like, oh, girl, you messed up. You messed up. Eagle's a bitch.
Eagle like a motherfucker.
Reservation Dogs. I didn't see this week's episode, but the past couple of weeks' episodes have been nuts. Like, nuts. Like, the one where Cheese goes to the halfway house, I was like, damn. Like, I was just like, yo, America's justice system is just fucked.
I'm only 3 episodes into this season just because I got wrapped up in other things, but I've been trying to jump back on. So it's good to know that it's still keeping that same momentum it did from the first season. Yo,
because the Cheese episode where he's in the halfway house, and then last week's episode where the cop starts tripping on acid and he comes across a cult and gets into a shootout with the cult. Yeah, this season's been nuts.
All right. My God. That's my whole entire weekend's gonna be just packed up just watching this shit.
What's that?
My whole entire weekend's gonna be just wrapped up trying to catch up on all these fucking awesome shows.
Tell Me Lies. This is a new show on Hulu. It's a teen drama. Look, I feel like a lot of the drama in this is manufactured because I'm just like, it's easy. I'm just like, I want to tell Grace Van Patten's character, like, just leave the dude. Like, you don't gotta stay with this dude. Just leave the dude. Also, it has the problem I have with white people being music supervisors because, you know, they're college kids. And so when they're at parties, they play a rap song because you're at a party, and the rap is just the most generic song you could ever possibly hear. Where I'm just like, can y'all hire a real music supervisor who knows what they're doing?
Right. Something that the kids would actually listen to.
Yeah, not like, yo, they walk into the party, you just hear the dude go, put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air.
Motherfuckers haven't put their hands up in the air since 2015.
I'm like, yo, who is the music supervisor on this show, and who do I have to shoot?
What's the
Because
name of the show?
even the indie stuff in this is basic. I'm like, damn, y'all suck at doing your jobs.
Tell Me Lies. All right, while you talk more, I'm going to find out who the music supervisor is and see what they've done.
So, yeah, also shout out to Grace Van Patten because she's wild naked in this.
Oh.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Grace Van Patten is the daughter of Tim Van Patten. You know, the pretty powerful. He is like the Spielberg of TV, basically.
All right. Series music by Jay Wadley.
Yeah, fire him.
Let's see what Jay. He looks like a Jay Wadley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire him immediately.
Let's see what else. What else has he done? I'm thinking of. He was the composer for. I'm thinking of ending it all. Armageddon Times, Old, Swan Song.
Oh, so he just didn't care on this one, is what you're trying to tell me. He's just like, oh, look, I need a paycheck.
Yeah.
You need some songs? I'll give you some songs. They ain't gonna be good.
Yeah, I think he was working on this while he was working on something he actually cared about. I think that's what that's about. I'm gonna send you his IMDb, and you tell me what you think.
All right. I'm gonna get into Atlanta. The first 2 episodes of Atlanta this season have been wild. Like, especially the first episode. The first episode, everybody split up, and then at the end, they all come together. It's back to that misadventures, surreal misadventures.
I mean, if you don't know, now you know. Atlanta is possibly one of the best TV shows in the last 20 years.
And so the second episode, we follow Earn, and Earn is going through it. I don't want to give it away because by the end of it, like the whole episode, you feel bad for Earn, and then you hear what happened to Earn as a kid, and you're just like, oh, damn. And then you get to the end of the episode, and you're just like, Earn, that is straight evil. Like, I can't even root for you. Like, that's evil. Yeah. Like, even Darius is like, I don't know if this is just new levels of petty or if this is just a terrorist act.
Oh man, I cannot wait to. I haven't watched Atlanta. I didn't watch it last week. You got me hyped, man. I was hyped before.
Because Paperboy, even he looks at him, he's like, you spent all this money to do this? And he's like, yeah. And he just looks at him like, yo, he's like, all right, I'm going to go over here and play some video games real quick then.
Fuck yes. Atlanta, last season.
Mm-hmm.
Last season, they doing it. They're coming out they're doing it with a bang.
And the final show I'm going to talk about is Andor. First 3 episodes dropped today. Today is the 21st of September. Shout out to Earth, Wind, and Fire. Do you remember the 21st night of September?
I'm so fucking mad. I'm so fucking mad at you for that. I'm so fucking mad. All right, motherfucker. Go on with it.
So, Andor. This is a gritty, almost a crime show set in the Star Wars universe, and it has none of the familiar Star Wars iconography outside of maybe a droid in a spaceship or 2. Otherwise, like, everything in this is almost like 90% of this is practical. You're on Cassian's side because you know him from Rogue One, but if you were just introduced to Cassian through this show, you're just like, ooh, I don't know how to feel about this guy.
So I only watched the first episode, and right off the bat, this is what I wanted out of new Star Wars, right?
Yes.
I wanted
none of
some
the
adult
Easter
shit.
eggs. Like, because we both know somebody who's like, there's no Easter eggs in here. Now it's a failure.
And we could talk about that. We could talk about fan service and how fan service kills creativity and movies and TV, but we're not going to do that because we're going to keep it calm. We're not going to talk about this piece of shit on the internet who's an idiot. But anyway, this is what I wanted out of
Pretty sure
this.
she's a meth head.
Oh no, man. That's some psychosis, man. Probably meth eyes. Definitely meth eyes. Haven't seen her teeth, but whatever. We're not gonna meth shame. We don't meth shame on this show.
Oh no, I listen. I
don't meth
I
shame.
do that.
But yeah, Andor is what I wanted out of these new Star Wars things. It's its own thing set in the Star Wars world. It's a fucking adult. It's an adult show. The show starts off in a fucking brothel.
Yeah, which is wild.
People fuck in Star Wars. Oh my god. Oh shit.
And you're dealing with the Empire without directly dealing with the Empire, because the antagonists of this show are just security. They're a security company for the Empire.
No, they're not. They're not a security company for the Empire. They're a security company for a company.
No, dude, they're a security company for the Empire.
I thought they were a mining operation that was...
Nah, man, they work security for the Empire. Like, they're low-level security.
But what... Yeah, okay. All right. But whatever they are, it's not the Empire, right? Which is fucking great. And there's no Skywalkers. There's no Jubs. It's just a fucking good story, and it's so gritty. So gritty.
Yeah, man. You know, Andor, you kind of warm up to him. Cassian, you warm up to him over the course of Rogue One, because just like this, Rogue One, he starts off the movie doing something unforgivable, and you're just like, ooh, boy. And this, he starts off, and he's just like, everybody's like, yo, you owe me money, man. Like, yo, I lent you that money. He's just like, yeah, whatever. He's stealing from people. He don't care. I'm just like, damn, bro. Like, this is like, it feels like The Wire set in Star Wars.
Right. That's what I love about this. And, all right, so watching the first episode, the first 10 minutes when he's in the alleyway, right? And I'm thinking to myself, they're not going to do this. They're not going to let him do this in a Star Wars show on Disney Plus. It's logical. It's the heat paradox. I mean, one motherfucker, then you got to get two motherfuckers. I mean, but the fact that he went through with it, I was like, oh shit, this is where we are. This is what we're doing. Okay, strap in, baby. Let's do this.
I mean, if I was in his situation, I'd do the same exact thing.
Oh yeah. But like, you don't,
because fuck those guys.
Right, fuck those guys. But like, and I would do the same thing, right? Because like, no witnesses, right? But like the fact that they did it on this show, right? The fact that they like, oh wow, he's making a real decision that most people would make. They would have made that choice, and it's not child friendly. It's
oh yeah, because it's straight murder.
Straight fucking look, just like Heat, just like in Heat.
You know what?
Fucking one murder. Like, you can go to jail for one murder, or you can go to jail for 5 murders. It's the same shit.
You know what I love is I love how the dude who runs the company is just like, yo, listen, they were at a place they weren't supposed to be at. They got caught up in some shit.
Right.
That's it. Like, let it be. And then you got this overachiever.
You got the fucking Scooby-Dooer.
Yeah, the overachiever, basically. And you'll see what happens. But in episode 3, he's clearly out of his depth by the end of it, because he gets shell-shocked when shit goes down and people are looking at him to leadership, because he's like, yo, this is your operation. You put out the hit for this guy. And now you don't know what to do. You're shell-shocked, and it's going to blow back on you, and you don't know what to do. This is why I say sometimes don't go above your station. Sometimes don't be an overachiever. Sometimes you just got to let things be.
Don't be a Dudley Do-Right, right? Like,
yeah.
If your boss is pretty much telling you exactly what happened to these dudes was their fucking fault, and just to leave it alone because they were bad dudes anyway. Fucking leave it alone.
Yeah, we can't do that. They were co-workers. And I was just like, listen, everybody has co-workers and likes people they work with. There's only so far you're willing to go for a co-worker.
Yeah, like if Doug in the next cubicle was going around serial diddling people and he got shot in an alley, I was like, I mean...
That's his fault. Yeah, that's his fault.
Shouldn't have been diddling.
Yeah, exactly. That's what his boss tries telling him. He was like, yo, they were in a brothel while they were on duty.
Right, they were out of pocket.
Like he was like, even if they were off duty, they weren't supposed to be there, period.
It's like, do you want to explain to Darth Vader why these two got murdered after getting their dick sucked? No.
And now he looks like a fool. Not only does he look like a fool to all the people under him, but I guarantee you in episode 4, his boss is going to be like, didn't I tell you to leave this alone? Now look at this. Now we're going to have the Empire breathing down our throats because of your dumbass.
Fucking, everybody wants to be Scooby-Doo until it's time to Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, and I understand why they put the first 3 episodes up, just because episode 3 is when the shit hits the fan and Stellan Skarsgård shows up and you're just like, ooh, boy. And you could tell from when Stellan shows up, you're just like, yo, Cassian, listen to him. And Cassian is not listening to him. I'm like, dog, clearly this dude is your only way out and he's here to help you. Listen to him.
Yeah, so like, I mean, I am thoroughly impressed with what little I've seen of this show, and thank you for finally giving us a worthy Star Wars show.
I gotta look up who the DP was on. Well, DPs are on this show because every show has multiple DPs because these shows ridiculous. And the score sounds like it's from like a serious drama. And I was like, who did the score? Nicholas Britell. They got Nicholas Britell to do the score for this show.
Like they cared about this shit.
Obviously, bro, because very little green screen, very little. Like 90% of this is sets, practical sets.
Okay, so DP cinematographers. All right, so Adriano Goldman did 3 episodes. Damian Garcia did 3 episodes, and Frank Lamb did 3 episodes.
Maybe it's almost like we have to pull Star Wars away from Filoni.
I didn't say that. You didn't say that. But it was said.
All right, and before we move on, I would like to give a shout out to Stephen King. I read one of his novels later. It's 248 pages, so I pretty much like inhaled that book because it was so short. Imagine Stephen King doing his version of The Sixth Sense.
Oh, that's gotta be so fucked up. That's gotta be so fucked up, right?
Read it. It's only 250 and basically 250 pages. Like it is worth a read. You'll blow through it real quickly. It's riveting.
What's it called?
Later.
Okay.
Paperback. Reading that book, I was just like, ooh boy, adults will use kids till their ends, man.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's a piece of shit. Adults, kids, everybody's a piece of shit.
All right, so let's move into trailer talk.
Roll camera and action!
It's time for some trailer talk.
All right, what do we got?
Well, I'm going to talk about the trailer they dropped last night, and I watched this on Twitter, and I was just like, yo, this looks crazy. What I'm talking about is the new Hellraiser movie that's coming on Hulu not next week, but the following week, in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I saw some of the stills from that. I was like, oh, okay, Hulu.
Look, I'm not a big Hellraiser person. I think it's okay. I get why people love it. Like, that franchise has fans. And watching that trailer, I was like, oh man, I cannot wait to see this because this looks insane.
Yeah, I mean, with a franchise like this, you can't afford to half-heart it. You know what I'm saying? Like they've done that, like through the multiple sequels that have continuously gotten worse, right? So I'm glad someone fucking loved this one.
It reminds me of Prey in that they spent a lot of money on it, but they had the freedom to do whatever they wanted.
Right, because they know they're going to make their money, right? No matter what they do, because horror fans will always show up for horror movies, and so the fact that we're probably getting something good is even better.
So one more trailer I'm going to get into is another Hulu miniseries. It's about Chippendales. Stars Kamal Nanjiani, and it looks to be like a murder mystery type deal.
Like Chippendales, the dancers?
The male strippers.
Okay.
This is based on a true story.
All right. Starring Camille Nanjiani.
Yeah, he's playing like a businessman within the world of Chippendales. He's not actually playing one of the male strippers.
All right, I was about to say, like, he's still carrying over that body from the Eternals. Huh?
Yo, listen, once you get that ripped, you can't let that go. Like that, you got that for life now.
This is who I am now.
Yeah, yo, listen, I'm trying to get nice, but not that nice, where I'm just like, every day you got to be like, all right, time to eat a whole chicken, time to wake up and eat a whole chicken, 4 a.m.
I had a friend once who said, look, I'm just trying not to be fat. I'm not trying to wrestle bears.
Yeah, word.
That's the body type. It's like, don't want to be fat, but I'm not fucking trying to murder alpha predators.
Look, I'm trying to be Captain America, where I could just look nice. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be Killmonger. I'm trying to be Cap.
Fair enough.
So, all right, let's get into our main review.
And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The Film Blurds feature film review.
All right, so which one are we talking about?
I'm going to start with a solo review of The Woman King. And then next week we'll do a joint review. Like, yo, I love this movie. Like, I love it. It's tough to watch at parts, and you'll see why, and we'll get into that next week. But yeah, Gina Prince Blythewood, I mean, she did it. At this point, she can basically do whatever she wants, because she started off doing like romance dramas, and even those were like gritty, like Love and Basketball, Beyond the Lights. And while I do think The Old Guard is better than this, just because the action was better in The Old Guard, this still is great, just because it's meaningful to me to see, you know, Black people thrive in Africa and have like warrior women in Africa. And then I don't think we're going to have another film for a long time that's going to have hand-to-hand combat this good, especially practical hand-to-hand combat.
You know, and the thing about this movie, like I said, I haven't had a chance to see it, but it's on the list for this week, and we're going to do the joint review next week. It's overperforming.
I mean, yeah, because, you know, us as a people want to see us thrive. And one of the things I was worried about going into it was like, how are they going to handle the slave trade? Because it's widely known that various tribes and nations in Africa were pitted against each other by the Europeans into selling each other. So like, you know, the Dahomey sold this tribe, and this tribe sold the Dahomey, and then Dahomey also sold it, and they get into it, and they get it, and it's the way they handle it. I was like, okay, all right. It's the whole backbone of the movie.
Okay, all right.
I mean, and not for, I know the men listening to this, a lot of y'all are gonna grunt because the film industry is just filled with toxic men. This is a feminist movie, but feminist in the right way, where it's not talking down to you.
And just like politics, where there's no real wrong political ideology, it's what you do with it, right? Same thing with the word feminism, right? What's wrong with women being proud of women and celebrating women?
I mean, feminist by definition is a celebration of both sexes being equal.
Right. It's just,
but like everything, it gets co-opted. You know what I mean?
Take it too far. We take it too far.
So yeah, look, I'm gonna end up owning this movie. You know what I mean? Like, give me that 4K Blu-ray. This is, I can't say enough. Like, every performance in here is amazing too. Like, the unknown, there's a few unknown women, black women, in lead roles in this, and I'm just like, you guys are going to eat. Like, I guarantee you they're getting calls. Also, shout out to Lashana Lynch, because Lashana Lynch has not turned in a bad performance yet. Like, it's good to see her keep popping up in things.
I'm even more excited for this movie before, and I'm upset that I didn't get a chance to watch it this weekend, because every fucking movie decided to drop this weekend. But it definitely... All
right, and with that, let's move into Pearl. Pearl is the prequel to X, Ty West's X, which Ty West also did this. And Jeff, why don't you go ahead and get into it?
Okay, so I've said this before. I was not a Ty West fan up until recently. I thought The Innkeepers was boring and pretentious. His entry into the ABCs of Death was the laziest thing I'd ever seen my whole entire life. And his version, his sequel to Cabin Fever was all right at best. But then he gradually started to grow on me. With in the Valley of Violence, and what's the cult one? I always forget the name of the cult one.
The Sacrament.
The Sacrament. And then X. Pearl, to me, in my in my opinion, is better than X. For different reasons. X is a straight up slasher movie. Pearl is a psychological thriller. It is disturbing in all the best ways. It's weirdly sexy. It's gross. The violence when it happens, it's earned, and it's also extreme. And Mia Goth may just... I hope she gets nominated for something because of this performance. That monologue she gives at the end of the fucking movie is hilarious, heartbreaking, and fucking terrifying. And the camera is just on her for 10 minutes as she breaks down. And you are terrified about what she's going to do next. This is a fucking great movie on its own, and as part of this trilogy that Ty West is building, right? Like I said, it's...
Well, we don't know if it's a trilogy, man. We don't know if there's going to be more.
All right. Well, this series that he's building, but I love this fucking movie so much.
Okay, so I'll start by saying I agree with Jeff on not being a Ty West fan. I wasn't a Ty West fan up until the Western. Right. Because that Western was fantastic.
Yeah.
However, my opinion diverges from Jeff's, is that I greatly prefer X. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad movie because it's not. It's just X had better buildup. Like, even when it was slow, it was doing lots of interesting character stuff and kept me engaged because of how funny it was. And you could see that all that buildup was going to be paid off.
Right. Because,
Pearl is it really is a throwback to like the Technicolor melodramas they used to make in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. With that though, I felt a lot of it just meandered for a good portion of it in the first and second acts. You know, that's just me.
No, I get that, but that's why I said this is more like a psychological thriller than it is a horror movie. You know.
Like, this is an hour and 45 minutes, and I was like, this could have been a nice, tight hour and a half.
It could have been, but I could have done without the scarecrow stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that was weirdly hot. But
it's just, there's a lot of stuff in here where I was like, oh, this could have been tighter, or you could have took that out. But, like, I mean, to me, it had no surprises. Like, X had some surprises where I was like, oh, that was unexpected, or this would happen. And this, you know, it played out how I kind of thought it would.
And like, to me, I was on the same wavelength with you. Like, I know exactly what's going to happen. I just don't know how it's going to happen. That's where the tension came for me, because like, I know this bitch is going to crack and do all sorts of wicked shit. I just don't know what the breaking point is going to be.
With that said, I still like this movie. This is not a bad movie. Anybody saying this is a bad movie, they're crazy. It's not. I just don't think it's as good as X.
Who's saying this is a bad movie?
What?
Who's saying this is a bad movie?
You know, people always posting and saying shit. However, for me to feel this way and have me excited to still see the next chapter, which is Maxine. They haven't even started shooting that yet. That says a lot about these two films, X and Pearl, in general, and just how good they are.
Yeah. That's Pearl. You should go out and watch it. It should be watched big, because it's shot, like you said, like a throwback 40s, 50s Technicolor melodrama, and you should experience it as wide and as big as possible. Because
some of this, I was just like, there's shots in here where I was like, oh, this could be in a drama and it would fit right in. And like, some of it is shot better than most dramas today, which is sad. It's fucking sad, that exploitation. What's really impressive here, before we move on, is this cost $1 million.
Yeah. This is what you get when you get talented people together who have passion.
And so, because it was that cheap, it already won.
Right.
Because it made like 3 or 4 million. It took a 23% dip from X, but X was a win anyway too, because X was cheap to make.
Right. You know, like, cheap.
So A24 has their first franchise with this.
Good for them. But yeah,
and the marketing has been very much subdued in compared to X. So I mean, they're gonna make their money.
Yeah, and so like, I'm thoroughly excited for Maxine, but Pearl, I absolutely love this fucking movie.
It's very rare you get an original movie followed by a prequel in the same year, and they're both this well done. So shout out to Ty West. I mean, because you did it. Also, I want to give a shout out to Kid Cudi, because you produced this.
Yeah.
And as a producer,
he produced X too, right? I think he's a producer on X also.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he's in X.
Yeah.
But as a producer, you're doing a great job too. I want to give you a shout out to that. And like, I saw him freaking out because Martin Scorsese loves Pearl, And he's like, Martin Scorsese loves a movie I produced. I'm like, yeah, well, welcome to the business, man. That's the business. You know, you could be producing a $1,000 movie. Next thing you know, Spielberg's sitting down watching it and saying, this is excellent. That's just how shit works, man.
Yeah,
get used to that. So if you're a producer now, get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, if you make good art, great artists will see it.
Yeah. So also Kid Cudi, very excited for Intergalactic next week, both the album and the TV show.
Oh, that's
Please
right.
don't disappoint me.
Oh, that does drop next week. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, man. I guess that's going to be part of the main review next week.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's get into Pinocchio.
I didn't hate it. That's all I can say.
It's the acronyms kind of threw me off with the what's it called? The clocks.
Oh yeah, like it was a little too on the nose.
Right.
Like, oh, okay. That's from Roger Rabbit. That was from blah 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 blah. Yeah.
Here's my thing. I watched the cartoon immediately after watching the live action remake, right? Mm-hmm. So the walking, talking fox and cat, that's fine by me in the cartoon. However, in this movie, it throws me off because this movie's live action. Everybody's blown away by Pinocchio's existence, but I'm like, there's a walking, talking fox and a walking, talking cat, and everybody's just like, man, all right. No other animal does this in this world.
Well, doesn't the
people
seagull
can't
talk?
see Jiminy?
What about the seagull? Doesn't the seagull talk?
Seagull doesn't.
It talks
to Jiminy.
Right.
And Jiminy's barely noticed by anybody. Like Geppetto only notices Jiminy at the end of the movie.
Right.
So it's just because he has a pet cat. Like, so it's just weird to me that everybody finds Pinocchio's existence so crazy. But I'm like, yo, you guys got a walking, talking cat and a fox in clothes who are making con artist deals in back alleys, and y'all are just like, man, all right.
Yeah, I get that. I get how that can be kind of like disconcerting. It didn't bother me. I don't even know what to say about the movie. It was competently done. Tom Hanks is being Tom Hanks. He's an American treasure. Even Tom Hanks's worst film is still someone else's best film. You know?
Look, Zemeckis is the man just because he did Back to the Future. Like, right. You did that, like, you're automatically the man. But, like, I think ever since Forrest Gump, I can't think of one movie that you've done since where I'm just like, ooh, that was good.
Yeah, this was fine. Like, I'm not going to say it's good or, like, it's fine. Kids are going to like it.
I don't like the ambiguous ending. That's lazy. That's lazy.
Well, yeah. Well, come on.
Especially, like, this works better. This Pinocchio works better as a cartoon than it does a live action feature. And then you're going to tack on that lazy, ambiguous ending that in the cartoon was so profound and so heartful. And you stand up and cheer. You have a tear in your eye. And this one, they're just like, oh, maybe he came a real boy. Maybe he stayed a puppet. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah, no, I get you. Look, this is not for me, right? This wasn't made for me, so I can't go into it super like hostile. But I agree with you. I haven't really fucked with Zemeckis since Forrest Gump. I thought I was gonna hate this just because I hated the Polar Express. And I don't hate
that movie. It's just it's off-putting. Just because all that motion capture stuff is just off-putting.
It's off-putting. And honestly, I thought this was going to be more of that than live action. It's like all of these Disney live action remakes. It does enough just to justify its existence, but that's it. It doesn't give me anything new. It doesn't make it so I need to watch this over the original cartoon. Right? And that's the thing I think I dislike about all of these remakes, reboots, and everything like that. It's fine if you're going to do it, just do more than just justify your existence. Give me something better.
Like I said,
new.
The only ones that really outdo the cartoons, it was Cinderella, because that was just so well done and so well told. Jungle Book, because they completely revamped it. Because if you've watched the original Jungle Book cartoon, not that good. And they made it into like this actually, at times, terrifying movie. You know what I mean? Like, Come on, man. I get freaked out when King Louie starts chasing Mowgli around the thing, because he's a giant prehistoric orangutan with monkeys coming out of his fur.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying.
Yeah, man. Like Idris Elba was Shere Khan in that. Like, that line was ruthless. And then the only other one was Pete's Dragon, because Pete's Dragon, that's completely different from the cartoon.
Right. But yeah, for the most part, all these other remakes, it's just like, okay, you're there. You have the IP. You can do whatever you want. You've put a new song in there or something. I don't know. That's why The Little Mermaid is another one. Like, I'm here for it for a lot of reasons, but one of them isn't the fact that The Little Mermaid needs to be remade.
You see, I go into these things hoping for another Jungle Book or Cinderella. That's why I give these things the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, all right, let's see what you did.
Right.
Because Jon Favreau really pushed the envelope with Jungle Book. Kenneth Branagh, who I find to be a okay director, really fucking put his foot in the Cinderella. And then, David Lowery, they just let him run free and make a family-friendly David Lowery movie with Pete's Dragon.
Right. So, I mean, we'll see. But Pinocchio, it's what it is. That's all right. I got nothing else.
Let's move into Moonage Daydream.
All right. So I didn't get a chance to watch that one, but go for it.
All right. This is not a documentary. Let's just get this off the bat. This is more of a collage. It is an oniric, hallucinogenic experience. You absolutely need to see this in IMAX because the sound design is next to none. Like, if this doesn't get nominated for best sound at the Oscars, we should stop doing the Oscars, period. This is the sound design in this movie is so innovative, like, and the way this movie's edited together. Like I said, this is not a documentary. More of it is a collage and a portrait of Bowie.
Yeah, and I'm fucking here for it.
It's hard to put into words because it's such a unique experience. Like, it is an experience.
Well, yeah, I think that's the perfect description right there. The experience. It's not something you're watching. It's something that you're a part of.
Yeah. Yes. I wish this was getting the Dolby Atmos release because I would love to see it again in Dolby Atmos, but seeing it in large IMAX, and I have to say, the past couple of times I've been to IMAX versus the past couple of times I've been to Dolby, IMAX has had the better sound mix and has been louder.
I haven't noticed that, but I do not doubt it though, at all.
So literally now, IMAX really is the best format to see stuff just because of the bigger screen and the louder sound. This took up the entire IMAX screen too.
Oh, word.
For the entire movie.
Shit. All right.
Yeah. Brett Morgan, he is a master of the craft of documentaries. And the fact that he decided, he's like, I want to do a movie about Bowie. I'm a documentary filmmaker. That's all I know how to do. I want to make a movie about Bowie, but it's going to be not your traditional documentary. That's amazing what he pulled off here. Like, I hope this gets released in the Criterion Collection, to be honest with you, because it deserves it.
I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it will be.
So, I mean, that's all I can say about that. So I'm going to move on into real quickly because we're going to save this for the next episode once you see it. I was invited to the world premiere of Amsterdam. And yeah, man, what a weird event that was. It was weird getting in. It was weird standing in the lobby because we had to wait because De Niro showed up late and he wanted to take pictures on the red carpet and he held up everything. It was weird because they had a DJ in there just spinning old school R&B. I was just like, are we at a party or are we at a movie premiere?
Oh, okay. All right.
Disney put out all these snacks. Like, you see everybody walking in. We all were walking in like this with these snacks, just juggling them. Drake came out to introduce the film because he's a producer on it. Future's a producer on it. And once you see this movie, you're going to be like, these two dudes produced this? Drake, I believe more just because he produced Top Boy and Euphoria.
Right.
And this, I was just like, oh, okay. But yeah, I don't want to say too much, but there, the only thing I'll say is I missed the whole scene of the movie because there was a line Chris Rock said that had the whole theater laughing for 15 minutes where Margot Robbie and John David Washington, they see each other for the first time and they run off together and they're in the middle. This takes place during World War I. So they're in a military hospital. So she's a nurse and he's a soldier. And after she patches him up, they run off together and Chris Rock's in the hospital too. And he goes, if only these Mississippi crackers could see you now.
Yeah, so I'll my screening for it is this coming week, so I can't wait to watch it, so we can break it down.
Also, shout out to Margot Robbie, our patron saint of interracial relationships. You're doing the Lord's work, Ma.
She should be on a poster for it.
So with that, let's move into two movies that we saw on Monday. And we'll start with Bros.
We saw so many movies, man. Bros. I'm not even going to preface. I'm not even going to say this is the best gay romantic comedy we've ever seen.
It's one of the best romantic comedies.
Yeah, period. Point blank, period. It's one of the best romantic comedies, at least in the last 20 years. It is wholeheartedly about this gay couple, and it's about it is singularly about gay relationships, and they don't shy away from that. But spiritually, it's universally about just relationships and love and things like that. So it is both specific and universal at the same time, and it is fucking hilarious and lovely.
I want to say I immediately connected with the two main characters just because you have to give yourself over when you're in a relationship and you have to be vulnerable. It's hard to do that because you're just tired of getting fucked over. So from the get-go, as soon as we started this movie, I was like, okay, I see what you're doing, and that's how I can relate to these two characters, even though they're queer. And there's a lot of queer stuff in this, but it was so matter of the fact that I was just like, oh, okay, it is what it is. Like, me and Jeff, we sat directly next to each other. Me and him were rolling the entire time. Like, we weren't even thinking about like the gay aspect of it, which isn't really a big deal in of itself.
Right. It's just a comedy. It's just the comedy is so good.
Yeah. We shouldn't even be talking about this movie like this. So that says a lot about society in general, that we got to talk about the movie like the way we are.
Right. But also, like, it's good that that relationship archetype is finally getting some screen time.
But that's what I'm saying. We shouldn't be talking about it like this. It should just be like, oh yeah, it's another movie, just happens to have gay people.
Right. You're right. But it is fucking funny. It's gonna make a lot of uptight cis white straight men uncomfortable.
Well, we did have a Q&A afterwards where Billy Eichner did say they tested this in like the Midwest, and they asked one of the college kids, like, how'd you feel about it? He was like, the gay sex, I was fine with it because it reminded me of Jackass. And I was like, and when Billy Eichner said that, I saw the look on his face, and I was just like, ooh.
Yeah,
I could see why you're cool with it, but I could also tell it kind of got to him a little bit.
Right. No,
and understandably so. Like I get that.
Yeah, I picked up on that, but yeah, you should definitely go out and see Bros. And like I said, it's like we said, it is a great romantic comedy. Like
it is, and it is really romantic. To be honest with you,
right? Like you fall in love with these two guys, and you don't want either of them to fuck up this relationship, right? And they both fuck it up. But like it's romantic. Like it is. If you look at it at the core, like this, it is a boilerplate romantic comedy. It's got spiritual DNA with You Got Mail and When Harry Met Sally, and it even references
even 40-Year-Old Virgin, because 40-Year-Old Virgin's a romantic comedy,
right? And they're all like, and these are referenced in there, but they're also skewed. And like this is just it's good. It's funny, and this movie's been kicking around for 5 years. It's taken them 5 years to make it because the end of the world happened.
I already made A-list reservations to see it again with my brother.
Yeah, no. So I think if you want a really good comedy, if you want a really good just romantic comedy, yeah, fucking Bros, man.
Also, I completely forgot until he mentioned it during the Q&A. Whether a man's playing gay or straight in this movie, the whole entire cast, at least as far as the males are concerned, are gay.
Yeah. So like you got gay guys playing straight guys, which is so refreshing because usually you got straight guys pretending to be gay.
Right. And you know what? If he hadn't even said that, I wouldn't even have.
I didn't even know Guillermo Diaz was gay.
Me either.
Right? Like, because why would I look that up? Why would I like, who's gay today? I don't give a fuck.
Also, shout out to Guillermo Diaz because he still has one of my favorite lines in cinema history from Half Baked, which is, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're cool, fuck you, I'm out.
Yeah. So there we go. That is Bros.
Yeah.
Yep. And on to
let's get into our last and final review, which is it's a rough. I had trouble sleeping the past 2 nights because of this movie.
Yeah, and I was talking about it today with a friend, and I straight up told him I will never watch another Marilyn Monroe film again.
So we're talking about Blonde. Andrew Dominic's long in the works. Like, I've waited 12 years to see this movie because I remember he announced this movie right after Jesse James. And he made Killing Them Softly and 2 documentaries in the meantime of trying to get this made. Like, nobody wanted to finance it. And this movie only cost $22 million. But once you see this movie, you'll understand why
it was so hard
took. Yeah, because this is a movie you watch once. It is punishing. This is a 3-hour punishing watch. It reminded me a lot of a David Lynch movie. Like, this is, except here's the thing. David Lynch movie, like specifically Mulholland Drive and Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, like the aesthetic of those two are in this movie. Though I would rather watch those 2 movies again with all the shit that's in those 2 movies than this. Just because this is it takes it a step further than Lynch. And that it is like sitting through a sensorial and emotional surrealist nightmare. It is like it's like being in the slaughterhouse through the eyes of a mentally ill animal about to be slaughtered.
Yeah. With all that being said, it is a fantastic film. It is beautifully shot. If Ana de Armas does not only get nominated but win an Oscar for this performance, then we need to get rid of the Oscars.
Yeah, because she melts into the role of Marilyn Monroe. Like, she definitely needs a nomination. I would also say the cinematographer needs a nomination because the use of the spotlight in here, while it does pull directly from Lynch, it also mimics like the old school photos in the 40s and 50s that you would see where they would use spotlights like that.
Right. But like, I feel so bad for Marilyn Monroe because we've all knew the stories, we all heard everything, but seeing it like this, it's like I feel guilty watching Marilyn Monroe films, just knowing how much they used, like the system and everyone around her used her up and like discarded her. It's like we treated her like Lenny treated the rabbits in of Mice and Men, right? It is such a thing of beauty that you want to possess it, but you don't know how to handle it, so you just end up fucking breaking its neck. And that's how that's how the studio system treated Marilyn Monroe. That's how all of her suitors treated her, except for Arthur Miller. Arthur Miller was the only good dude in her life. Fuck Charlie Chaplin Jr. Fuck Edward G. Robinson III.
This puts you literally in the headspace of Marilyn Monroe. And as the movie progresses, it gets more and more fragmented because by each passing moment, you have to figure out, are you watching this now as Marilyn or you are watching this as Norma Jean?
Right.
Like you're literally watching this through a fragmented, mentally ill person's lens. And it's just what makes it even more horrifying is that she is being brutalized emotionally, and mentally, and physically almost every scene of this fucking movie.
And like just looking at Ana de Armas, you want to take care of her, right? Like as Marilyn Monroe, as Norma Jean, you just like want to fucking take care of her, right? And just like, I want to take you out of this situation, right? And it got so grueling and punishing watching all of this shit happen to her. Like even the good things in her life, you're watching them with such caution because you know it's going to end badly. So you're just waiting for that to happen. But yeah, it's by the end of the movie, like we're like 2 hours in, and
I wanted it to be done.
Right, I'm
like
saying,
once we hit the 2 hour mark, I was just like, can we please end this movie? Like I felt after a while,
I wanted her to die.
I felt like I was being brutalized myself.
Like I wanted her to die just so she could like not go through any more pain.
Yeah, right? and you know what, man? It did get repetitive in that last hour because she just kept popping pills, chasing it with booze, blacking out. Popping pills, chasing it with booze, blacking out.
Right, but I know we're talking harshly about it, but it does what great cinema does. It challenges you, right? It is a great piece of art. It really is. It is art. Watching this, but I don't think I could ever watch this again.
I will say this. Because this is dropping directly to Netflix because it's only in 2 theaters right now, and Netflix owns both of those theaters, so that makes sense why it's playing in those theaters. We went to a press screening, not to a theater to pay and see this. If you make it through this, you're a cinephile and you wanted to experience this and get the full gist of this movie, the full thing of this movie. Fine, you finished it once. However, I want to say to anyone who watches this more than once, I guarantee you're a sadist or a serial killer, or maybe both. Because there's no need for anybody to ever rewatch this movie more than once. Like this is up there with Salo, a Serbian film.
For me, Requiem. I never have to
Requiem.
See yeah.
What's the other one? Oh man, a lot of Pasolini shit. Man, yeah, Night and Fog. There's an hour-long documentary called Night and Fog, and it shows a bulldozer just bulldozing bodies from the Holocaust. That's another one you watch once and never watch again. There's just certain movies where you just watch once and you're just like, I never need to ever experience that again. This is it. And for me and Jeff, this was an experience because we saw this in a Dolby screening room. Like, it's 88 channels. Think about it. 88 different channels in this screening room. Very small, very intimate. And we sat right in the middle of the screening room, in the middle row of the middle of the screening room. So we were literally enveloped.
We felt the screams.
Like, we were in this movie. And to be in this movie is the most scarring, one of the most scarring experiences I've ever had.
Yeah, like when she's taking the acting class and she just breaks down and she's wailing, I felt it in my fucking soul.
You know how horrible this movie is? There's one point where she's auditioning for a role and the casting director is so disturbed by the performance she gives, he straight up turns to everybody and says, "We did not watch a performance. We saw a mentally ill person just break down in front of us." And the studio head walks over to the door and sees her walking off the lot. And instead of registering what the casting director says, he says,
Great
"Man,
ass.
does she have a great tush." Yeah, or great ass.
Yeah, so
There's one part of this movie that has just been seared into my brain. That is when there's a bunch of men breaking into Marilyn's home. And she gets up. It's in night vision, like a fisheye night vision lens. She gets up out of her bed and immediately walks past a man who is against the wall with his eyes wide open. She walks around the house to see what's going on. And she sees the men breaking in. She runs back into her bedroom to jump back in the bed to hide. That guy is still there.
yeah.
That is seared into my fucking brain.
Yeah, I mean, there's the abortion cam, the blowjob cam.
When she was, and you know what, man, the movie really kicked into for me, as in terrifying, is when her mom picks her up at the beginning of the movie, says, "Norma Jean, we gotta go." And they walk into the hallway and you see the ash floating in the air. And you're just like, is this a dream or is this for real?
Right.
They get in the car and they start driving towards the fire and you cannot see anything. That's when I was just like, I don't like what's going on here. I hope this sequence ends. And that sequence goes on for a minute.
Right.
And it gets more disturbing because they're eventually stopped by cops. And as her mom starts talking to the cop, the look on the cop's face, because the mom's very clearly mentally ill, the look on the cop's face as she kept talking, that's how I felt. I was with that cop where I was just like, I don't want any part of this fucking situation anymore.
Right. So that's our review of Blonde.
Andrew, this is it feels like a culmination of Andrew Dominik's work. Like, it feels like there's shades of
Everything that he's done in this.
Yeah, like there's shades of Jesse James in here. There's shades of Killing Them Softly, like the surrealness and the photography of Killing Them Softly. And then just I'd never finished Chopper just because 10 minutes into Chopper's cutting off his ears to get out of prison. And that's when I turned the movie off because I was like, the way that was shot in the close-up of it, I was like, nope, fuck that. That's this entire movie. By the way, this is NC-17. This is the first NC-17 to be released in like 15, 20 years.
And it
got that NC-17 for the blowjob that happened. The forced, it's not even like she wanted to do it. She was forced. The forced blowjob she was given, she was forced to do to give to JFK.
I see, and to me, that wasn't NC-17 worthy. It was the fucking CIA forced abortion that did it for me.
Yeah, but the way that blowjob was shot, I was like, yeah, the way it was shot, that's how you got your NC-17.
Yeah. So I mean, I
just want to say there's rape in this, like, and it is
a lot of rape.
Yeah, it is harsh.
She gets raped mentally, physically, and emotionally throughout this whole entire fucking movie.
Yeah, man. A lot of women love Marilyn Monroe, and I'm letting you ladies know now. This is not the movie to watch at all.
Right, like so they say. I'm going to leave you with this. Sometimes they say never meet your heroes. Well, never meet your heroes.
Yeah. Real quick, I do want to read the book just because the book gets into the conspiracy theories. Like Joyce Carol Oates gets into the conspiracy theories. The movie does not. So we'll leave you with that.
All right. So that's episode 59.
Later. We're the Film Blurs. I'm Brandon Norwood, and I'm the motherfucking protagonist.
I'm the protagonist.
I'm Jeff Stewart, a.k.a. He Who Remains.
Don't come at us. It's just fucking movies.
You've been listening to the Film Blurs podcast.
Man, I just love what you guys do, man.
I never miss an episode. It's the best.
It's my favorite podcast.
Follow Jeff on IG on MindFire XL and Brandon on Twitter at BJN Tweets.